She noticed it before her daughter did. The box was thin, softened at the edges, the cardboard darkened in places where hands had held it too long. It wasn't wrapped so much as folded into old paper and taped once, lazily. The kind of tape job that says good enough. Her daughter, 7, careful, eager, smiled automatically as she always did when it was her turn. The smile came first, trained by birthdays and holidays, and thank yous practiced in the mirror. Then she opened the box. The smile stayed for a second too long. Inside was a puzzle. Used. The image on the front was scratched, the corners bent. When the pieces slid out, a few didn't come. They were missing in a way that was obvious even to a child who hadn't yet counted them. There was laughter. Not cruel laughter. That was the part that made it harder. It was the soft, indulgent kind. The kind that pretends nothing important is happening. "Oh, it's vintage," someone said. "Kids don't care about that stuff," another added. Her daughter looked up, confused, then glanced around the room, checking cues. She laughed to a small sound, unsure. She said thank you because that was what came next in the sequence. The mother sat still. She had learned, over years, how moments like this worked in her family. How a thing could be wrong without anyone naming it wrong. How intent was always used as insulation. They didn't mean anything by it, as if meaning were the only measure. She watched her daughter set the puzzle aside carefully, as though rough handling might make the missing pieces reappear. Someone reached for the cake knife. The room began to move on. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't stand up. She didn't accuse. She said, calmly, "We won't be doing gifts like this anymore." The sentence was quiet enough that it took a moment to register, a pause. Then someone asked, lightly, "What do you mean?" She looked at her daughter, not the relatives, and said, "We're done with joke gifts. If something is given to her, it needs to be something you'd be comfortable giving to any child in this room." There was a small ripple of discomfort. Someone cleared their throat. The cake knife hovered. "It was just a puzzle," an aunt said. "You're overthinking it." "I'm not," she replied. Her tone didn't change. "I'm paying attention." The laughter didn't come back this time. Instead, there was that particular stillness that appears when people realize the ground has shifted slightly under their feet. Her brother leaned back in his chair. "So what now, we're being policed?" "No," she said. "I'm setting a boundary." That word landed heavier than anything else she could have said. Boundary. Adult. Final. Her daughter had gone quiet, watching the adults instead of the gifts now. The mother felt a familiar ache then, not regret, but grief for how many times she herself had been taught to shrink moments like this into something manageable. Someone tried to soften it. "We didn't think it mattered." "That's the problem," she said. Just clearly, it did. The panic didn't explode. It seeped in. Questions followed, disguised as concern. "Are you saying we hurt her? Are you saying we're bad people?" Apologies started to surface, not yet apologies, more like explanations scrambling to become something safer. She didn't argue with them. She didn't list past incidents. She didn't remind anyone of other birthdays, other jokes, other small humiliations that had been framed as harmless fun. She said one more thing. "If it happens again, we'll leave, and we won't come back for a while." That was it. No threat, just consequence. The cake was cut after that, but no one seemed hungry. Conversation stayed shallow. The puzzle sat untouched on the table, suddenly visible in a way it hadn't been before. A cousin tried to engage her daughter, offering to help put it together later. The girl smiled politely, then shook her head. "It's okay," she said. "It's missing pieces." They left early. In the car, her daughter was quiet, staring out the window. The mother didn't fill the space with reassurance or explanation. She waited. Finally, her daughter asked, "Was it a bad gift?" The mother considered the question carefully. "It wasn't a kind one," she said. "And you deserve kindness, though." Her daughter nodded, absorbing that. She didn't ask anything else. In the days that followed, messages arrived, some apologetic, some defensive. A few offended. The tone varied, but the subtext was the same. "Why make this serious?" She answered only one briefly. Because it was. There was no dramatic fallout, no family meeting, no grand resolution. Just a subtle change in how often they were invited and how carefully words were chosen when they were. At the next gathering they did attend months later, gifts were normal, new, thoughtful, a little stiff maybe, but clean. Her daughter noticed. She didn't comment. That night, as she helped her brush her teeth, her daughter said casually, "I liked when you said something." The mother met her eyes in the mirror. She didn't smile. She nodded. Some reckonings are loud. This one wasn't. It didn't fix everything. It didn't teach everyone a lesson they were eager to learn. But it changed one thing that mattered. Her daughter learned that laughter isn't always harmless, and that silence isn't always required.